Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Okay, first I want to start off with the water vapor satellite picture as of 9 a.m. And I want to show you, you can clearly see that there's a trough over the Great Lakes and back towards much of eastern Canada. And we also have a rather interesting disturbance developing over the southern plains. We'll get to that disturbance later on down the road. But what I want to point out with this trough is that there really isn't much deep moisture ahead of this cold front that's going to be moving through the northern mid-Atlantic today, which is great news because that means for the most part a few isolated showers at most will move through. Unfortunately, there is some very cold air behind this cold front that's going to knock temperatures well below normal for tomorrow afternoon. So here we are at the surface at 9 a.m. and you can see our cold front is still over the eastern Great Lakes. It's starting to move through parts of Syracuse and it's just past Buffalo, and we'll be moving through Pittsburgh later on this morning. And this cold front will move through the northern mid-Atlantic likely around 3 to 6 p.m. this afternoon and evening. And when this cold front moves through, you'll feel it, because behind this cold front is an Arctic air mass that will drop temperatures from the mid-50s over portions of southern and central New Jersey down into the 20s and 30s by later on this evening. And then lows tomorrow will fall into the single digits to lower teens over the interior and lower 20s along the coast. So winter definitely returns. The good news is that high pressure is going to be in control as well. So skies will clear out. We're expecting dry conditions for tonight, tomorrow, all the way through the rest of this week into Saturday. However, we're going to have to deal with some rather chilly conditions for tomorrow. Highs tomorrow are only going to get into the mid-30s over southern New Jersey. New York City and Philadelphia will range from the upper 20s to lower 30s. So we may be in early March, but it looks like we get knocked back into late January. But is this cold air going to last long? Well, as you can see at 850 millibars via the European model guidance from the Penn State E-Wall, the cold air mass is pretty dynamic. I mean, temperatures are down to around minus 10 degrees Celsius by tomorrow evening, which is pretty impressive for this time of year. And even colder air is located up in Canada. But when we look at 500 millibars, notice over the Atlantic, there's no blocking. There's no upper level low to the east of the Canadian Maritimes. That means that this air mass is going to be able to lift out very quickly. We are in a progressive air mass, progressive pattern, should I say. Notice that our polar vortex is to the north of the Hudson Bay. And that's important because that means that the extent of this cold air is not going to be able to remain over the northern mid-Atlantic for too long. So basically we have one cold day and then the cold air starts to lift back. We moderate back to near normal. Also notice we have a powerful upper level low to the west of the west coast and sitting over the Gulf of Alaska. This upper level low is going to dive towards the west coast and begin to pump up a ridge over the southeast. So we definitely move towards warmer conditions by Friday and Saturday, where temperatures return to near normal to slightly above normal conditions. And then we have a rainstorm to worry about, but some of the model guidance is starting to change a little bit. This is 500 millibars on Sunday evening, and there's some slight difference to the way that the model guidance lately is handling the upper level disturbances with this storm. Yesterday it was more unified. Notice yesterday the red slash here was darker, more solidified, a little bit more tilted in a negative trajectory, basically from southwest to northeast. Now the latest model guidance has the polar disturbance a little bit faster, and that makes the storm overall a little bit weaker. Is it right? Well, we're going to have to wait until this weekend to get a full idea exactly what to expect with this storm. At least until Friday afternoon when we get better guidance, because then both of these disturbances will be in a far better area for data sampling. But for right now, I'm still expecting a rather impressive rainstorm for the northern mid-Atlantic starting Sunday evening through Monday morning. The problem though is that if this trough is more neutral than negative, in other words if the upper level winds are more from the south than the southeast, then the severe potential is not as impressive. We're going to have to see exactly how these disturbances interact over the next several days. And the result of having the upper level disturbances a little bit more disjointed, not exactly a full phase, you lead to two areas of low pressure. One with the polar jet stream moving up into Maine, and the other low pressure system off the southeast coast. Now again, this still produces a moderate to heavy rain event, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain. And yes, there is even a potential for some light snow to mix in at the very end of this storm over the highest elevations of the Poconos and up towards the Hudson River Valley in northern Connecticut. However, this is clearly mostly a rain event, but you could see a little bit of snow mixed in at the end on Monday morning. But the point here is that if the disturbances do not phase completely, then you don't end up with a more dynamic and powerful storm. So we'll have to keep an eye on this and see exactly how this storm evolves. After this storm leaves on Monday morning, high pressure that will be settling over the plains of Canada will build in and remain in control for Monday night, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we're going to end up with a rainy start to next week, but then it'll clear out for the rest of the week until at least the storm that's developing over the southwest moves to the east, which is likely be end of next week with another heavy rain event, potentially some severe weather. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So pretty much the main players over the next several days. Gets cold tomorrow, just for one day, just to remind you that winter is still possible. Then that cold air exits, moderation until Saturday, and a rainstorm Sunday night through Monday. Thank you for visiting NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Have a great day.